Are you doubting the type of coach that you have become? Are you doubting the niche that you're in, the direction you decided to go into? Whether you're just getting started in the online marketing space as a coach, course creator, consultant, or you've been doing this for a while, but you're just feeling like you're not confident with the direction that you're going in, I want to give you some ways today that really help you build that confidence and that clarification and solidify how you get to show up, who you're serving, the clients you're going to be working with. And once we do that, I also want to give you a 6-step social selling process so you have a plan and a course of action that you can take to be able to go out there and attract those clients right away. So stick around and let's dive in. What's going on? It's your girl, Jen Johnson, high performance Christian business coach. And on this channel, I love talking all things leadership, business development to help you go out there and step up your online performance and who you're being, how you're showing up, as well as the programs you're creating to work with your dream clients. So be sure to subscribe. Okay, now we can dive in. Okay, let me first start this off by saying if you are a little lost as a coach or uncertain or unclear or lacking confidence in the direction you're going in, you are not alone, my friend, okay? That is so normal. Don't beat yourself up over it. You got to think about the path that you've been on, the decisions that you've made, the direction you've gone in, and was it one that came from like an inner place in your heart that was really tugging at you, or was it something where you were just kind of following a trend or following someone else's lead? You know, there's such a journey in this process, and I can tell you, in the past 7 years of building my own business and being my own boss, have made many different decisions, gone in so many different directions, have pivoted so many times, but it's all led me to exactly where I want to be and where I'm so excited to serve. But it took that journey to get to this point. And so your identity as a coach, you know, does take time. Don't beat yourself up if you don't have it all solidified right at this second. You may just have to experiment a little bit and give yourself some grace and some time to really identify something that you would be excited to do. Now, I'm going to give you some ideas here, but I also want to preface this by saying the myth that I see the most is the idea of following your passion. And the reason that I'm making that bold claim is because what is passion? Passion is a way of being. You can be passionate. And so it's not so much that you're seeking passion and that it's outside of you. Your passion is not something you look for outside of yourself. It's something you bring to the table. And let me give you the dumbest example, but have you ever had the desire to just totally deep clean your kitchen or your house, or you're just really in the mood to totally go in and scrape from top to bottom to make it spick and span? You're in that passionate mood to go in and do that. Now, the majority of the time when we go in to clean our kitchen, we're just making sure it's clean, the dishes are put away in the dishwasher or whatever. But there's those moments that you've had, or maybe it's a moment of cleaning out your closet or really deep cleaning a bathroom, or what, I don't know why I'm using cleaning as an example, but this is my example. So you know that feeling though, where you just really get a wild hair. That is being passionate. That is bringing passion to the table. Now think about if you've ever been on a date, which I'm sure you've had. The first date, there may not have been a lot of passion there, but there was interest. And over time, you either the passion grew, and it was something you started being towards the person as you developed the relationship deeper. So don't think of passion as an external thing that's outside of you that you're trying to seek and grab and reach and pull in. Whatever you decide to do, you can choose to do it passionately. Now, we can even take this back to scripture when Moses did not want to go see the king of Egypt because he was like, why me? I'm not a good speaker, God. Why don't you send my brother instead? He didn't feel qualified. And so I want to remind you that you are not necessarily going to feel qualified for the thing that you're stepping into, but it's important that you understand that God's qualifying you. It's not about your feelings. Remember, feelings are fickle, feelings are temporary, they change all the time. And if you're basing this decision off of how you feel in the moment, that can change on a dime. So you want to identify what God is qualifying you to go do, even though you may not feel qualified in the moment. Now, if you're watching this and you're in a season of thinking you want to be pivoting into a different direction and you're not sure that you want to continue doing what you're doing, I did do an actual interview with a dear friend of mine, Sean Marshall, that you can watch right over here. Seems to be more room. I'm going to put that here. And you can go check that out after this video because it's a really inspiring story of just going all in on the thing, even though it's taking you in an entirely different direction. And I think that would really support you in watching that interview. Okay, so I want to give you 5 ways today that you can really lean in and kind of dissect and figure out the direction that you want to go in as a coach so that you can step into it with confidence, continue growing the skill, continue gaining new wisdom and insights. But you can always start from these different places to tap into internally, not externally, what it is that God wants you to be up to in your business as a coach, course creator, consultant, you name it. So the first thing I'm going to say is tap into either a pain, a challenge, a struggle that you have had in your past that you were able to transform. What transformations have you been able to create throughout your life, and how could you pay those forward? Is that something that you would be ultimately passionate about teaching someone else how to do? What was your process? What was your framework? How did you make that happen? There's an amazing company that I recently came across on TikTok called Two Blind Brothers, and I was just so moved by their entire story. They literally are 2 blind brothers that created a company that gives 100% proceeds towards discovering and working towards curing blindness and the actual disease that they have. I forget the name of it, but check them out. It's an amazing concept where you actually shop blind. You have no idea what they're going to be sending you, and there's these different packages and price points that they've put together, and you're just trusting the process and what it's like to shop as someone who is blind. And what's so cool is they've incorporated Braille and different things into the clothes and into the actual tags and all of this stuff. It's such a cool concept. But what they did is they took a problem that they currently even have, and they've turned it into a message to really bring awareness to that problem. So maybe you don't currently have the problem, maybe you do. How can you turn that into a message to create more awareness, to create more transformation for people that are going through that same issue? So that's the first thing to discover or look into is there a pain, challenge, or something that you have transformed that you could pay forward? Now, the second exercise that you can do is actually look for gaps in a particular market or niche that are of interest to you. And what I mean by looking at gaps is look at that market space or that niche and figure out what are the holes in that area. If you've ever heard of the book, The Blue Ocean, looking for the blue ocean in that space and identifying what's not being talked about, or what is everybody talking about that's not working, or what are the myths and the mistakes, and how can you reframe that to create your own particular framework to really stand out and talk about the things that are not being talked about in that particular category. That's exactly what I did with my program, Profit Performance Mastery. Coming up in this 7-year time span, 2 of it has really been dedicated towards building out this program and having my own product to share with my students and clients. But it took that whole time before that to really go through that journey and figure out, gosh, what would I have loved to have had created if I just would have had this one program or this one particular framework? It would have made it so much easier. So my journey really inspired the creation of Profit Performance Mastery. And the biggest gaps that I really saw, there was some amazing programs and amazing strategies that people were teaching and a lot of social media, tips and hacks and this and that. But I knew there was so much more to creating an actual business online as a coach or a course creator. And what was that framework? And there's so many other questions and things that you want to have in place to be prepared to work with your clients, to be confident in selling, to have confidence in the framework that you're creating for your offer, and all of these different things. So that is a second way or exercise that you can really look at and think, okay, what is missing in this area of expertise that I want to go into, and start to fill those gaps. Now, this third one is twofold. So you can actually sit down and think about all the things that make you happy, bring you joy, excite you, whether it's your hobbies, your skills, your talents, your desires, Or what are some things that are going on in the world or in different market spaces that really make you mad, that are irritating you, that are really wanting you to speak out around that particular topic? And how would you frame it differently? Again, this is kind of like the concept of filling the gaps, but thinking about and triggering in your mind, what are some of the things that you find are just not being talked about, or that are just really upsetting you in a way that gets you so amped up that you want to go out there and actually create a program around it or coach people around it and help people transform that particular area. One thing that comes to mind for me is the relationship that people have with money. I'm really passionate about that piece, and that's something that I talk about in my program, with my clients, with my students, because ultimately I can teach you how to sell and create programs and have all your systems in place. But if your money mindset sucks, you're not going to be open to receiving the money when it comes to you. So that's another thing where, especially in the space of talking to Christian community, I know a lot of times money can be a thing that we want to bury and sweep under the rug and not talk about. So it's a little polarizing to bring that into the space and say, hey, it's okay to work for money. A working man is worthy of his hire. That's what the Bible says. So we get to really bring that out into the open. So that's just another example of a way to polarize or talk about something that maybe isn't a popular or most common topic, but it would be something that would put you into a unique position and help you stand out in a particular marketplace. Okay, so this fourth one is gonna probably be a little bit of a stretch for you, and that's okay because we get to go here. So what I want you to do is sit down and write out some things that you've always desired to do, but you've maybe had that voice in your head talk you out of it and say, no, you're not capable of doing that, or you don't have the skill, you don't have the talent. And the question you really got to ask yourself is, have you ever tried? Have you ever really went for it? Because remember, our minds are set up to keep us in survival mode, not prosperity, not to go out there and stretch us in new, uncomfortable ways outside of our box. So is there things that you've always felt called or led to do that are outside of your box that you keep telling yourself you can't do for specific reasons? What are those reasons? And is that just your ego getting in the way? Is that just you talking yourself out of it because you're afraid to try it and fail? Like, what's coming up for you? But realize that those might be the actual places that you get to go as a coach to hone the skill and see if you're good at it, see if you have a knack for it. I remember when I first discovered in the baking world, I discovered fondant, and I was so fascinated by this like Play-Doh-like stuff that you would put over cakes to make them look beautiful. And because I was just so fascinated with it, I wanted to learn how to do it. I had no clue if I would be good at baking or good at cake decorating or anything. But I remember my daughter was really young and I just needed to get out of the house and like have some adult time. So I went and I took cake decorating classes. I watched stuff on YouTube, and I ended up turning it into a little bit of a side hustle because I did end up developing the skill and had the knack for it. Had I never gone after that, I never would have known if that was something I was capable of doing. And maybe I don't know, who knows, at one point I could have turned that into a business and really gone after it, but I ended up going in a different direction. So the key is you just want to be trying these things to see what it is that you are skilled at, and not only skilled at, but once you discover that you're skilled at it, you might actually really like it, because a lot of times we don't like doing things we're not good at, but if you keep telling yourself you're not good at it, you're never gonna try it. And the fifth thing is, what is something that you're already amazing at, already something you do naturally so well that people always lean on and rely on you for, that you might be belittling or thinking it's not that big of a deal? A lot of times that is so common. I'm actually very guilty of that. I'll think, oh my gosh, this is such a simple process. But other people think, actually, no, Jen, it's not. I could really use help with that. So because it comes so naturally to you, it might feel like something you override or overlook because you think, well, that's just not that big of a process. But to other people, it is. This is why it's very important to go out there, survey, ask questions. Maybe you're someone that's amazing at giving relationship advice. You've been in positive relationships and have amazing experiences through that. Or you're awesome at parenting. You don't find it to be that confusing or complicated, and it's just something that comes so naturally to you. Think of these different areas of life that you could offer these expertise in, that you are just so gifted at naturally, and hone hone in and see if there is an area there for you that you can explore to go into that niche market and coach from there. Now, the point of this exercise is you want to make a list. You want to explore all areas, because the reality is God did not just give you one skill or one talent or one thing to add passion to. You are multi-talented, multi-skilled, multi-passionate. There's gonna be so many things that you find interesting or love to do. The question is, which one of them would make sense to go into business on, to really have as the way that you go out there and profit, but also serve and make impact and create transformation, because that's what coaching is all about. So you want to find the thing that makes the most sense to monetize and go out there and build this business around. Then you want to make a plan, which is why I have enhanced and updated my 6-step social selling guide that's going to show you an actual plan of action that you can put into place, and it's completely customizable. Every single step in this guide is a way for you to just know the process and the experience and the flow that you can create in your business, but there's different strategies for each one, and you just decide which strategies make sense for you in the direction that you want to go in, your personality, the way you want to show up. So be sure to download that guide by going to the link below. I'll put it up here somewhere. You can access that. It's completely free, and that's my gift to you, for you to be able to now take this exercise, dive into the direction you want to go, and then make a plan of action to go out there and bring it to life. And if you are finding that all these moving parts are getting a little overwhelming and confusing, and you're not sure where to focus and how to really set up your coaching business for success, I invite you to check out my signature program, Profit Performance Mastery, because it is an A to Z, all-inclusive. We fill in every single gap. This is no longer just about showing up consistently on social media. You get to complete an entire framework, systems, and processes that are going to allow you to attract and work with your dream clients consistently. So again, I'll put that information below. You can check it out. Any questions, feel free to reach out on jenjohnson.official over on Instagram. And as always, God bless, keep the faith, impact the world, and I will see you on the next video.